we have seen this. The palace, I think, tried to do it quietly, but of course it ends up in the London Gazette, which is the official journal of public record here within the United Kingdom. And at midday today, it was published that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, almost said Prince there, but I forgot, but I didn't quite, has been stripped formally by the King of his Knight of the Garter honour, which is the oldest and most noble order of chivalry in Britain, something he acquired in 2006 by the late Queen.
And occupied alongside noble figures like Sir Tony Blair.
Exactly, Tom. And Andrew Lloyd Webber, for some balance as well.
Today, we're covering the newest turn in the long, ongoing story of Royal Lodge, a development that left many royal fans quietly stunned and confused. After months of talk about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's exit, possible payouts, and legal details hidden inside his lease, a fresh internal inspection has now revealed a surprising shift. The 30-room Royal Lodge, one of the grandest homes inside the Windsor grounds, is said to be in such rough condition that Andrew might leave with absolutely nothing, not even £1 of the nearly $500,000 he was once expected to collect. This update has stirred an entirely new round of questions. What on earth happened inside Royal Lodge after 2 decades of Andrew living there? Why was the state of the home so poor that the Crown Estate has already told Parliament that he will likely receive no payout at all?
Buckingham Palace has previously stated, His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles, and honors of Prince Andrew. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease, and he will move to alternative private accommodation. Andrew is expected to relocate to a private property on the Sandringham estate. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who has also lost her Duchess of York title, is said to be making her own living arrangements.
Let's begin with the basics in the Crown Estate's recent report. On the 12th of November, officials performed a full internal inspection of Royal Lodge. This marked the first step in their review before Andrew's planned departure. In a letter sent to MPs, which quickly became public, the Crown Estate explained the home had major wear, damage, and repairs that must be handled. Their wording left no room for doubt. They stated that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor will almost certainly get no compensation for giving up the lease early. This is a dramatic shift in tone. For years, the number that floated around was close to $488,000. Under the 2003 lease agreement, Andrew could have claimed money if he returned the home in solid, well-kept condition. Instead, the Crown Estate appears to have discovered the complete opposite.
In a dramatic move that marks the latest chapter in a long-running royal saga, King Charles has officially stripped Prince Andrew of his remaining royal honors. On December 1st, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's membership in the prestigious Order of the Garter was formally cancelled, as announced in the Gazette.
Andrew has stayed at Royal Lodge for many years. He pays no rent because he paid up front for a 75-year lease costing more than £8.5 million. Technically, yearly rent would have been $260,000, but he avoided that fee by covering the renovation costs in advance. For 2 decades, the deal was extremely comfortable. The only required payment was 1 peppercorn a year, and even that was only if anyone asked. The Crown Estate emphasized in their letter to MPs that the agreement itself was fair and matched typical practice back then. An architect approved the renovation plans, and no concerns were raised in the early years of Andrew's tenancy. So how did we end up with a 30-bedroom mansion with formal gardens, staff areas, and historic details now being described as badly deteriorated?
And he's also been stripped of his Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, which is the highest order of knighthood within the UK. So it's more of a formality because we knew this was going to happen, but it is yet another reminder that Andrew really has lost everything in terms of his royal titles, apart from, you may recall, the dukedom legally and formally, because that does require an act of Parliament to completely lose it. But the King has basically done all he can within his power to remove everything he can from his brother.
The review is still happening, but the initial findings show the property has suffered from age, wear, and long delays in repairs. They explain the condition was not unexpected for a tenancy of this length, a polite way of saying this is common after so many years. Even so, the damage seems large enough that Andrew cannot meet the standards needed to claim compensation. How does someone who once had staff, a strong allowance, and support from the late queen allow the home to slip into this state? Some say the explanation is simple. Money became tight, upkeep slowed, and important work was pushed aside. Others believe Andrew focused on certain upgrades long ago and ignored the rest. That still isn't confirmed, but it would explain why the Crown Estate has finally stepped in.
The United Kingdom's official public record. The statement read, "The King has directed that the appointment of Andrew Albert Christian Edward Mountbatten Windsor to be a Knight Companion of the Most Noble Order of the Garter shall be cancelled and annulled, and that his name shall be erased from the register of the said order." In addition, Andrew's title as Knight of the Grand Cross of the Royal Victoria Order was also annulled the same day.
And will take over only once he officially hands the keys back. Now, I want to look at the move itself because there is still plenty of debate around the timeline. Earlier reports claimed he might be out by the end of this year, but the latest information points to a slower transition. Some say he is delaying, though most agree Andrew will move once a new home becomes available. Right now, that may happen around late February. That is the earliest realistic date for his departure. However, this is where things get messy, because his lease technically allows him to remain for nearly another year if he wants. The date repeated most often is the 30th of October 2026. In theory, he could stay well into next year and maybe beyond, although almost no one believes he truly will. Other reports mention a January 2026 exit. It depends on when his new residence is ready and on ongoing talks with the Crown Estate. Several royal reporters say Andrew realizes the tide has shifted and the king wants the matter settled much sooner. But without an official date written into the lease terms, the final deadline remains unclear. So we now have two competing timelines. One says he will leave within months once the new place is prepared. The other says he could stay into next autumn if he uses his full notice period. What is certain is that the worsening state of Royal Lodge is now the heart of the situation. It changes Andrew's financial outlook, removes any real chance of compensation, and makes it easier for the Crown Estate to move forward with reclaiming the property. It also raises questions about what happens afterwards. When Andrew returns the keys, the Crown Estate will start a full investigation of the building. They will decide what repairs must be done before anyone else can move inside. That might include roof repairs, plumbing work, electrical updates, window replacements, and structural checks on a nearly 200-year-old building. Homes of this scale do not recover quickly. It may take months before any future occupant is even considered. The wider royal family will watch carefully. Royal Lodge has always been sensitive because of its connection to the late Queen Mother, its prestige, and its location near Windsor Great Park. The king has long favored Andrew moving to a smaller Sandringham home that would cut costs and finally end this long-running dispute. Whether that happens in early 2026 is something we'll have to wait to see. For now, the focus is on the fact the lodge is not in the condition required under the lease. That alone explains why Andrew's hope for a payout has collapsed. It also strengthens the Crown Estate's position as they move toward taking back the property. This entire story has had many twists, but this one may be the most expensive for Andrew. He remains responsible for upkeep until the day he leaves. The massive cost of running Royal Lodge would shock anyone. Reports suggest the minimum monthly expenses for a house this size sit well over £30,000. That includes staff pay, insurance, heat, security, and ongoing repairs for a huge 30-room home with wide grounds. Some insiders say the real number might be even higher during winter when heating bills soar. It shows clearly why the Crown Estate wants a fixed plan and why Andrew's finances have been closely examined. But before we end, let me ask you this. Do you think Andrew will leave in February as predicted, or will he stretch this out to the final day allowed and hold on to every remaining month? Tell me in the comments. If you liked the update, don't forget to subscribe and switch on notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks for being here.